Users of Reddit, what is your NSFW confession? Sometimes I see folks who post in NSFW in my area walk past the front desk of the hotel I work at, and I struggle to keep a straight face knowing I saw their nudes on Reddit. Many moons ago I was still working at Home Depot. There was a cashier there that all dudes would talk about. She was a very attractive young woman with a very attractive body to go with it. Super sweet as well. I happened to be browsing Reddit one evening at my house and saw this user's nudes. Nothing uncommon on here, however this user had a small, but pretty unique tattoo on her hand. A tattoo that happened to match this young cashier's. When I went into work the following day I saw the young woman's hand, and sure enough it was the same tattoo. I never spoke a word of it to anyone. Some of the dudes that worked there were already obsessed. However, on my last day there some of the employees took me out to a bar after work and she ended up showing up. I was outside smoking and she came out and I just straight up asked her what was the name of the user account and explained why. She went as red as a fire truck. I told her I had known for almost a year and hadn't said anything, so her secret was safe with me, but to cover up the tattoo before someone else figures it out. I'll never forget her face, it was priceless. Dude just straight out go to real life and said this you. I was 99.9% certain it was her, so knowing there was almost no chance of ever running into her again, since I was moving out of state, why not confirm that 0.01% doubt in my head? When I was with my first ever girlfriend in high school, we walked back to her house when her parents weren't home and fooled around. I ended up fingering her and her dad came home shortly after. We were able to stop and not get caught, but her dad said hello and said it was nice to meet me and stuck his hand out. I ended up shaking his hand after just fingering his daughter's coochie lamau. I had a similar thing happen to me in high school with my girlfriend at the time, except I'm 100% sure her dad knew what we were doing. He came home while we were mid-act, so I quickly threw my pants and shirt back on and after some shitty excuse about helping her clean the house, I left. As I was walking he came up and offered me a ride home. I kept my hands very far away from him and said nice weather today, to which he responded not really. The rest of the ride was silence. Got home, thanked him, and hightailed it inside, where I was finally able to take the condom off. I had a friend I used to fool around with back when I was a teenager. We were interrupted by her mom coming home early one time, so I didn't get a chance to wash up. We played it off like I had just stopped by to say hello for a second. Anyways, the mom coming home also got their dog all riled up and he was hanging around the three of us talking in their front entrance way. The dog would not stop licking the hand I had been diddling my friend with. I tried to offer it my other hand but he'd have none of it. The mom said something like, "Wow, you must have something tasty on your fingers." I just hope my face turning a little red at her saying that didn't give it away. Used to know this guy when I lived home still in FL and he'd smoke me out all the time and we'd watch movies and eat. I'm gay, and one time I hadn't smoked from the bong in weeks and I decided to take huge hits and clear the bowl as fast as I could. You know, to get super stoned, because back when I was 21 that was essentially my goal. Anyways, after I cough for legit probably 8 minutes straight and finally feel like my lungs will keep working, as I've like drooled on the table in front of him from coughing so hard, cringe, I get legit stuck on the couch. I was having like strobe vision where the room would begin to spin and then snap back to original and start spinning again on repeat. I knew I was fricked. And after I continue escalating to the point of being almost uncomfortable in my own skin, not talking, just staring straight ahead basically through the TV, not even knowing what was going on. I feel my bowels churning. Hard. Sudden. As in brah, you're going to poop, this is your warning. Well, I'm feeling extremely awkward and I don't wanna have diarrhea in this guy's bathroom, so I decide it's best to leave so I can walk around his apartment complex for a bit and then drive home when I come down a bit. Solo time. Good time. Let's go. Halfway down the 4 flights of stairs, I get the worst cramp I have ever had in my life. I'm talking it started in my back and ended up making my butt feel like it was being pressed with a hydraulic press. I have to kneel down on the stairs and put my head down. I am just beyond overwhelmed with the pain. What the heck? I need to get to a gas station. Going down the stairs will be easier than climbing back up and awkwardly trying not to soil myself on the way to his bathroom. By the time I reach the ground floor, I am farting like crazy and it's too late. There is no time left. This must be what it feels like for someone who has no control. This is awful. I quickly assess my surroundings. Close to 2 a.m., nobody should be looking out their windows. There has to be a bush or the side of a building or something. Next to the wall of the complex that towers a good 10 feet or so, I see one of those electrical boxes situated behind a tree away from the parking lot. The stuff is coming. I have to go or I'll soil my pants. Legit took my sweatpants and things off and squatted. I'll spare the details, but it was the most disgusting relief I've ever felt. But now I had a new problem. What the frick was I supposed to wipe my butt with? The shirt that I was wearing wasn't a favorite. I ended up trying to throw it over the wall of the complex, and of course what happened? It landed right on the very top, half on my side and half on the outside, covered in my feces on display. The next night I came back to smoke and the shirt was gone. Had it fallen? I don't know. I hope you enjoyed my story. I love eating coochie. My mouth waters when I think about doing it. I absolutely love the taste of it. What bothers me is it seems like a lot of women I've met aren't into it and don't let me do it because they think it's nasty. I know I am very good at it. I was with a woman who was bisexual and said I was great at it, and she had been with both men and women, and she said I was one of the few people that could make her come that way. She loved to let me do it over and over again and I was in heaven. Anytime I hear a straight dude say that he doesn't like eating coochie, I think, what the frick is wrong with you? Same here. I love it, I am good at it and have gotten rave reviews. But like you, experienced the same thing, it is nasty. I don't feel good that you have to be there. I don't like the smell, so don't go down. I feel some of it is their own body shame/shyness. Some have agreed and then said they have been missing out all these years. Likely stems from self-consciousness and anxiety brought on by inexperienced and or selfish partners who shamed them for asking for it or made them feel weird for regular bodily functions like their natural scent. I got an abortion because I feared that I would either kill myself or the baby and couldn't do that to my husband then boyfriend. I was Baker acted for the second time not even 3 months before I was pregnant. Both Baker acts landed me in the hospital and with 12 stitches in my wrist. I was highly suicidal and my husband had to fight to keep me from killing myself. Once I found out I was pregnant, he told me it was my decision what I wanted to do. So I chose to get an abortion because I couldn't trust myself. And I didn't want to cause so much suffering on the man that I loved. I'm so much better now. That was over 5 years ago and me and my husband are now trying to have a child. I do feel guilty sometimes when I think about what I did. But I was too unstable and wouldn't have been able to care for a child. You did the right thing for the right time. I'm proud of how far you have came even though I'm some random person on the internet. Smile. Don't ever feel guilty. You were too sick to be pregnant, and you made the right choice, keeping yourself alive. It's similar to if a pregnant woman found out she had cancer, and chose to abort in order to receive life-saving medicine. I'm glad you're still here, and I'm sure your husband is also glad you're still here. Many years ago I needed to eat something before a 14-hour international flight, so I hurriedly choked down a chili hot dog and Lay's potato chips. On a fully packed plane I proceeded to fart nearly once per 5 minutes, and it smelled exactly like sulfur hot dogs and Lay's potato chips. I pretended it wasn't me by covering my face with a shirt and acting just as revolted as the 20 or so people around me that could smell it so graphically. It was so pungent that the cabin crew assumed it was the lavatory at first. I've never felt so guilty and simultaneously laughed so hard at a situation. I was a walking biohazard that day. Oh my god, I have never laughed so hard in my life. I'm at the airport right now waiting on a connection and I'm guilty of exactly this offense. I had a route to myself. I opened the air vent above to move the evidence. I was stretched out and every time I dropped I could see people across the aisle cover their faces. I don't even feel guilty, proud maybe but no guilt. I genuinely prefer a dude to have less than 6 inches. I've had partners with pretty much exactly 6-inch long wieners and I felt like my cervix say was being punched. My ideal size is 5 inches cause not only does it feel better, but giving top is also much easier. Amen sis. I think most women feel this way tbh. I'm nothing special. Gonna start with that. However, I do have the 6-incher and I love my partner to bits, but your description of having your cervix punched is so accurate even I understand exactly what you're saying. I do not consider myself big or anything of the sort but Lord sex is usually a series of oh shoot, too deep. Okay, how's this? And it's nutty. I don't ever want to hurt anyone, and never thought I was even capable of that, but it's enlightened me to an entirely foreign concept of understanding. Again, never thought much of my ole canon but apparently, it's enough tongue. Men. We did it. There's already 2,000 comments so no one will see this. About 13 years ago at the time, girlfriend's cousin and her boyfriend wanted me to watch them have intercourse. I guess that was their kink, so whatever I'm into weird stuff from time to time. Rules where I couldn't join in, please myself, or talk, I could only watch. I agreed and as a joke I showed up to their place in a really nice suit. This joke apparently turned them on more. What I thought was going to be a quick 10-minute session turned into an hour of wild stuff between them. I watched in all for about 30 minutes, but to be honest I got bored after that. This was before I had a smartphone so I had to endure. My reward for fulfilling their fantasy? The boyfriend bought me a copy of Fallout 3. So whenever I see Fallout 3 brought up all I think about is those two practicing every intercourse position possible for a full hour. Overall I'd rate that experience as a 6/8. On a first date with a woman whom I wasn't sure about. She was very attractive and funny but I didn't feel like I clicked with her. She wanted to go on a second date and I agreed but I had made up my mind that this would be the last. We ended up at my place and she gave me a BJ and swallowed. Nobody had ever swallowed for me before and I really dug it. So I decided I wanted more of that so I went on more dates with her. That woman is now my wife of 20 years and I am madly in love with her. I don't know how she'd take it if I told her that if she didn't swallow I would have broken it off. Update, I don't know if people are still reading this thread, but I decided to tell my wife. Thanks to those who said that there was nothing to be ashamed about and that it was actually sweet. It encouraged me to be transparent. My wife's response was simply, and I quote, "I know. Why do you think I gave you a BJ on our second date? I only did that with boyfriends, not dates. And I never freaking swallowed unless I loved them. I knew you were the one, and you were a keeper. All is well." I was super chubbed, desperate and got on Omegle. Met a woman, talked for 2 hours, and decided to hook up after only seeing one picture of her and her one of me. Wasn't even 100% convinced it was a chick. Because we only lived 4 hours from each other and I was about to spend 6 months in a third world country. We met, talked, and hooked up. And then 2 days later I left the country for 6 months. I came back home after 6 months and she came over to my house. This woman is now my wife. I met my wife on Omegle for a hookup. I've been talking to multiple men here on Reddit in the short time I've made this account. Each man is different. Their personalities, their sense of humor, their wieners. Yes, I've seen each of theirs and have been tempted to meet up with each one. Very, very tempted. Can't lie. Zero judgment, but please always have an escape plan when meeting internet friends. I spent a night with a meth head because it didn't occur to me that he'd be lying about being a junkie and that I should always have a way out on standby. Guess that's my NSFW confession. Thank you for the advice. It's appreciated. I doubt if I'd ever break down and actually meet any of them. I'd tell myself to only have convos with guys I know aren't near me. In Europe? In Australia? Nope, it ends up me carrying convos instead with guys in the same state as I am. I'm such an idiot. I never completed college. I found a college transcript and diploma in between the pages of a world atlas at a yard sale. The person was born in the same year as I, so I just legally changed my name to match. It did it for me the first job in the field. At first job swap they also had a look. I have changed my job 4 more times without anybody requesting to see my diploma. I did make sure to actually visit the campus, hang out a bit, learn the names of the buildings, sit in on some classes just in case I would ever run into someone from the same alma mater. It would be bad to not know basic info about the place.